Welcome back, Transformers. Hard to believe we've already begun the second week of the month of August, but here we find ourselves, ready to go. If you've been watching for the last week or so, you'll note that I've been doing a month tarot spread for August, followed by one for each of the weeks in August. So as you may know, we already did a reading to cover the month of August, kind of a general overarching theme, followed by a tarot spread to elaborate a bit more on the first week. So I'll suggest, if you haven't already viewed those videos, to check out the links below in the description and take a few minutes to get a little context, see what you've missed. Chances seem pretty good that you won't have missed the first week of August, but this might help to tie in events that you've already experienced or things that you've already processed in a new and more contextualized light. So I'll give you a few minutes to take a look at those. Just pause me here, and then we'll pick up from there. So as we turn our attention now, having reviewed the last couple of videos, to the card for this week, the Four of Pentacles, we see a card often associated with the idea of miserliness, with a miserly person or a miser being stingy. This may seem appropriate given the current context. We've certainly seen a government that, in light of what others have done, might appear a bit stingy. But on a more personal and individual basis, we may also feel like others have had to become a bit stingy, or even that we ourselves individually have taken such a turn. We're definitely in a time where we have to exercise caution, particularly with money, and save money when and how we can. Now, we don't necessarily want to go to the point of stinginess, at least not right now, although a new approach may make us feel stingy compared to our normal circumstances. But we may have to act a little differently in abnormal or different circumstances, despite how that might make us feel. So the question that I want to focus on today, and that I believe these three cards will help us to elaborate on, focuses on how to balance. How to balance in these circumstances, balancing saving for our well-being and safety with outright miserliness. So, we turn our attention first to the moon. Coming from the major arcana, I take this to mean that this will have to become part of our individual new normal, as they keep saying. This balance will have to become part of our new normal. The moon has been known as a highly intuitive card, and so I take this as a suggestion to develop your intuition and learn to distinguish between that and knee-jerk compulsion buying and impulse spending, which we've all been programmed to do. But the time has come to break free from those tendencies and those learned behaviors, and to become more in charge of ourselves and our actions. First, by becoming more familiar with what we really need. So we need to look into the watery depths of the self and learn to distinguish between what we want, those fabricated, created needs to get us to spend and act, and true needs, and then set about doing so quickly. Set about making these distinctions and altering your perceptions quickly, that's going to permanently improve your thinking and your perceptions. So, as they say, there's no time like the present. We have to start now. The Knight of Swords creates a really nice balance for intuition. Coming in from the suit of a trained and regularly exercised intellect, that being the swords. Well, now we shouldn't take either the intellect or the intuition as 100% accurate, but we should use both. We should temper each of them with one another. As you apply the changes that we've been discussing, take an example from the Knight of Swords, who's looking backwards. He's looking into the past on this two-dimensional time frame here, this two-dimensional timeline, wherein the left equals the past, or equates to the past. Reflect on examples in your own life of when you needed to make defined changes for your betterment. For your betterment and for the betterment of those that you love and that find themselves in your care. Did all of these instances go well as you planned? Or did some of them go not so well? What did you learn from both types of outcomes that you can apply presently? Such reflections can help you to avoid mistakes and certainly to avoid repeating mistakes. So take some time, reflect on, if not similar circumstances, because most of us haven't been in a circumstance comparable to this exactly, but we have all gone through some things that can inform our response to this, and we can learn from what we've already been through and apply it to the now. So look to the past, but don't stay fixated on it. Use that turn around, if we could turn the night around, and then start moving forward for your overall betterment. Now, the Seven of Cups tells me that if we need to balance intuition with the intellect, we need also to balance the intellect with our own emotional side. And to do so, it will prove prudent to do exercises such as listing options that we feel strongly about. Nicely illustrated here by this man with so many choices to make. Having listed such options, we can establish a pros and cons approach, as well as looking at why we feel inclined toward or repelled from certain options. In so doing, we can better refine our own decisions by bringing all three aspects of the self into play and harmonizing them, as opposed to having them work against each other and sending us in 3 or 5 or 10 directions at once. This can harmonize our thoughts and our responses to things and help us to move forward undivided. So to answer this week, the answer for this week's theme lies in assessing needs, getting in touch with yourself, balancing, and finally refining your approach. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I hope this has been helpful and insightful. I would ask that you please hit the subscribe button so that you can get notifications of new weekly tarot readings, as well as other content that I'll release fairly regularly. Please feel free to comment, thoughts, suggestions, questions. I love them all, and I love engaging with fellow travelers in the esoteric side of things. And finally, don't forget to subscribe or follow rather, the social media links I've got posted below. Those will contain additional updates and regular content for your enjoyment and consideration. Until then, folks, keep transforming, stay healthy, stay well, stay strong.